This is Dory Funk. You are listening to InYourHeadOnline.com.
All right, and we are back here once again on In Your Head, and it is an honor to have, actually the third time on the program, handsome Harley Race. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing just fine. How are you guys?
I'm doing well.
Doing good.
Cool. We'll let everybody know June 21st, which is this Saturday, you're going to be at Warwick, Rhode Island for the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame and Fan Fest. And you get all your ticket information on the new website, newenglandfanfest.com. And not only will you be there, you'll actually be inducted into the New England Hall of Fame. What does that mean to you to be inducted into another Hall of Fame?
Well, they're all great. You can't say one's better than the other. At least it's showing to everybody who watches wrestling worldwide that if you're good enough to be inducted in one, that's fabulous. If you continue to be inducted, how much better could it possibly get?
Yeah. And you'll actually be inducted by Howard Finkel. Do you have any stories of the Fink?
Yeah, but a lot of them I can't tell you here.
Howard Finkel. I never would have figured.
Well, that's good, though. Howard Finkel, you must have known him for a long time.
Yeah, I've known Howard for more years than really I care to remember. That's there's a lot of people that's been involved in wrestling for years and years, and Howard is one of them, and Howard's a good guy.
Yeah. And, since this is the New England Hall of Fame, I would think a lot of people in this area would remember you for the King gimmick. And do you have fond memories of the King gimmick?
Well, the King, after the 8 times as world's champion.
Yes.
How much better could you possibly get or go, or
right.
However you want to word it?
It's just from 8-time champion to the King. I mean, yeah. No, I grew up in New England, and I remember we had NESA, New England Sports Network, and every month they would show the Boston Garden shows, which was a big deal back then because you normally wouldn't be able to see something like that unless you went to the arena. But I remember it was a great, actually one of the best matches I ever saw with Hogan, and I don't dislike Hogan, but this was a great match between yourself and Hulk Hogan. And what are your thoughts on Hulk Hogan as a wrestler?
Well, no matter how you want to word it or how you want to say it, if you're good enough to get to all the places that Hogan was at, you've got to be way the hell above average.
Do you think he ever gets a bad rap as a in-ring wrestler?
Hogan gets good and bad raps virtually on a daily basis. But the end product was he was who he was, and he would not have got there were he incapable of handling the process of getting there and then handling it once after he was there.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've read that they were initially afraid to put you guys two in the ring. They thought maybe you'd shoot on him. Was there any truth to that?
No, not really. I think he knew and I knew that that's what a lot of people expected, and that's what a lot of people wanted. And unless they're paying your bill, unless they're doing a whole lot of other things, why the hell bother giving it to them?
Right. Now, another person that will be at the Hall of Fame is Dory Funk, and you won your first NWA title from Dory Funk. What was that like to be in the ring with Dory Funk, who's one of the greatest champions, before you came around, and how much did that help your career? Being the guy to dethrone Dory Funk.
Well, it couldn't do anything other than help your career, that's for sure. Dory had the belt for quite a while, and being able to take that belt back from Dory, how much better could it get?
Mm-hmm. Here in the chat room, Matt wants to know who's tougher in an actual fight, yourself or Haku?
Well, there ain't anybody tougher than me.
Now, did you ever have to, back with, when you had a lot of heat with the fans, did you get into a lot of altercations with any of them, like, outside of the ring?
Occasionally, yes, but 90% of it you could end before it ever got started. What I would generally do is extend either the right or left hand out wide open, and say, just stick your fingers in here and see who's going to win this one, and then we'll take it from there.
Well, along those lines, some of the Hart family will be at the Fan Fest as well, and you were, in Stampede for a while. Did you ever get in the dungeon with Stu?
I have been in the dungeon with Stu, but never in a bad way, ever. Stu knew that I knew what I was talking about, and I knew that he did also. So you didn't have to try to prove yourself at that point in time, especially when I'm there to help him run his business and better his business.
Yeah. So there's a mutual respect there. There's no reason to.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What was it like working for Stu in Stampede?
Everybody has got their opinion of Stu. My opinion of Stu is he was who he was. He was not a person that did not tell you who he was or try to be somebody else. He was just an all-out or all-around tough, rugged old guy.
No nonsense. Here in the chat room, Mr. Ideal wants to know if you think Vader's run in WWF would at the time would have been more successful had you been his manager.
Who the heck knows?
Did you enjoy managing? Being in the ring so long, and then change your role as being a mouthpiece and a manager for someone.
Well, truthfully, as long as I was allowed to be able to talk for and with whoever I was there with, it made it a whole lot easier than a lot of the guys that were out there who were never allowed to talk and who were nobody really ever listened to. But I kind of had an edge on everybody because I'd already been 8 times world champion before I got involved in the managing stuff.
Mm-hmm. When you beat Luthez record for a number of title reigns, how what was that feeling like?
Well, it's a reign that had stood for I don't know exactly how long, but it had stood for a long time, and everybody knew that Luthez, no matter who beat his record, was not going to take away anything from his name. Mm-hmm. And I was very, very proud to be the person that was capable of doing that. and I made sure that Lou's name stayed right where it was at, even though I had bettered it.
Mm-hmm. Now, had you ever been in the ring with Lou Thesz?
Yes.
What are some of your memories of wrestling in the ring with Lou Thesz?
Just that Lou wanted to keep the word wrestling involved with everything that he did. And as long as you made sure that the wrestling part stayed involved with it, he was fine.
Mm-hmm. Some other questions here in the chat room. Want to know if you ever thought Vader was too rough or took liberties with some of the underneath talent.
Vader was Vader. He was pretty much the same individual no matter who he got in the ring with. And the way that I made it with Vader was I made it dead. He knew dead positive that we were going to have a wrestling match, not 99.9% BS and talking and all the other stuff. It was going to be a wrestling match.
Mm-hmm. Since it's the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame and Fan Fest, you'd spent most of your career, wrestling other parts of the country, and then you to Northeast. What is the difference between wrestling in the Northeast compared to other parts of the country?
Wrestling in the Northeast, I've got to say this for the McMahon family. He kept it, the word wrestling meant something, and a lot of places it wasn't near as supervised and run as strictly and correctly as it was there.
Mm-hmm. Now, how about the fans themselves? Would you wrestle a different style in the Northeast than you would in another part of the country?
No, I wrestled to be Harley race worldwide.
Mm-hmm. Where are some of your favorite places that you ever wrestled for?
Well, in the overseas places, Japan was my favorite. I was there 70-plus times. It was a place that kept the word wrestling involved in everything that you did. A lot of places weren't quite that well done.
You're wrestling in Japan. There's a different, the crowd usually reacts differently than they do in the United States. Was that, did that bother you at all initially? Did you have to take it to take time to get used to? Because they don't cheer quite the same way as they do in the United States.
No, luckily, I've never been ever in a position where I had to be the first person to go out to the ring. Mm-hmm. So I had an opportunity to watch all the matches that were on before me, and I could see the rights and the wrongs of what they were doing to get the people to react to them in the right sort of a way. So by the time I went out there, it was my turn to get out there. You don't try to make the people mind you. You give them the word wrestling. If you keep wrestling involved with everything that you're doing, they're going to go along with it.
Mm-hmm. John, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. This is what I want to know, Harley. Okay, you got JR's barbecue and you got Harley Race's barbecue. Which one am I going to enjoy more?
Well, who the hell do you think?
What's your specialty?
Truthfully, I don't have a specialty. I love to cook, period, and especially when you're cooking on a grill like that. If you put it together right, you got the right seasonings and all the other stuff that makes it taste good. And you don't screw it up on the barbecue or the grill or however you're cooking it. It's always going to taste good.
Charcoal or gas?
I started with charcoal like everybody else. I wound up with gas real late. But I always used the gas grills that has the charcoal flavor to their hot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That always sets it off.
I actually just got myself a new hybrid grill that's charcoal with a gas ignition and a smoker on the side, so I'm getting ready to try that one out. Would you ever have a cook-off with somebody like Jim Ross?
I never had just a cook-off with any of them. I always appreciated the opportunity of going to whoever place it was, and I enjoyed being there, and I enjoyed what they were doing. No matter what they were cooking, and I think that's kind of how they reacted toward me too.
Mm-hmm. Now, someone to bring up, because actually when we had you on, I think it was 2005 when we had you on, and you told a story about CM Punk and that he drank a shot of milk with you at a bar. And, since then he's become, a huge superstar in wrestling. And I don't want to say if you were surprised, but, what were your thoughts of him becoming so big? Because he's not necessarily a traditional WWE, type of wrestler.
Punk was a very talented young guy. And I knew at some point when he put everything together the right way, which is what he's done and done it greatly, would move on to really be somebody in the wrestling business. He's proven me right.
Mm-hmm. Were you proud of that? I know, just because you were around him when, before he went there, were you, proud to see that, to see him go there and become, so successful?
Yes. Anytime, I've been involved in the wrestling business since the middle 50s. Mm-hmm. So anytime that you've got a young kid that you've been around and and he goes on to be as good and thought of as Punk is, how could you not be proud of that?
Mm-hmm. You still have a big hand in training wrestlers, is that correct?
Yes, I'm sitting here right now, and the guys have slowed down out. They're winding up right now. Mm-hmm. I got 2 rings set up, and I always keep 2 where I can maneuver the guys that are learning the quickest over into another one, and then you can keep building the younger ones, or I guess the right word would be the dumber ones.
What is that like for you to have another chapter in your life in wrestling, as a trainer and just, see these guys, try to fulfill their dreams?
Well, I've been involved in wrestling. Wrestling has been my entire lifetime. Mm-hmm. I left school when I was 15 years old, and I was able to get involved in wrestling. Shortly thereafter, I had using kind of a roundabout way. I lied on my age and was able to get a driver's license a year ahead of when I should have. And wrestling's the only thing I've ever done.
Nope. At the WWE Hall of Fame, Ric Flair mentioned that you passed the torch to him. And do you consider any specific wrestler a guy who passed the torch to you?
I would have to say that any of the people that were involved in the wrestling when I first got into it and got really going, the names that stand out would be Luthez, Vern Gagne, Bruno. There's a lot of names that were there, and being able to say that you've been in the ring with people like that, to me, is what it's all about.
Do you have any specific opponents? I know you've wrestled, all these people, but that were, I don't want to say your best matches, but they were something special, like when you were in the ring with them, you felt like, this is a special moment?
I would say any of the times that I had performed well enough that the promotions throughout the country, I became world champion, like I said, that number of times. I was Vince's king of the ring. How could I not be proud of all that?
Mm-hmm. When Triple H, and he still does, the big knee, and Jim Ross at the time would call it, he's doing the Harley Race big knee, paying homage to you. What was that feeling like?
Well, how could you not be happy with it? How could you not be proud of a person with his talent and credibility still using and replying that came from me.
Mm-hmm. We had Dory Funk on just a few weeks ago, and I asked him, how grueling the schedule was when he was NWA champion, and he actually said that was his favorite time because he didn't, consider it grueling because he was the champ, and that was just pure pleasure. But for you yourself, what would be like a typical week or month, as the NWA champion, be like for you?
Well, you knew that as champion, everybody, including the people that you were working for and the people that were watching you and all the guys that were going to be in the ring with you, how in the hell do you say this?
It would be up to par. You still have you here?
Harley?
Yeah.
Yeah. You still with us here?
Yeah, I'm still here. Are you guys?
Yeah, definitely. We have a little debate here on the show, John and myself, between the traditional wrestling cage, like a mesh cage, and the big blue cage that the WWF used in the 80s. Do you have a preference?
Say that again and don't laugh where I can hear what you're saying.
All right. The traditional wrestling cage with the mesh cage versus the big blue cage that they used for a while in the 80s. Do you have a preference between the two?
As long as they're put up correctly, and the bigger the cage, the sturdier the cage, the better they are, and that's my opinion.
Okay.
I think he's going with Big Blue, Jack.
I don't know. The famous match with Ric Flair.
Don't try to sway him.
I don't know. That's our debate will rage on which one's the better. The Bobby Heenan will also be at the Fan Fest, and he managed you for a while. What are your thoughts on Bobby? Memories of Bobby?
Bob. Go ahead.
Memories on Bobby Heenan.
Bob is a good guy. What he did for the wrestling business was as good as or better than could be expected in the role he was in.
Definitely. When you were NWA champion, and you're still wrestling, the other champions at the time, every once in a while, like WWF and AWA. But what were your thoughts on the other champions? Did people in the NWA consider that the premier, champion, or what were your thoughts on the other champions?
No matter what group back during that point in time, if you were good enough to be their champion, you were one of the top guys in wrestling. Mm-hmm. Whether it be for them or whatever other group that was out there too.
Mm-hmm. When we had Tully Blanchard on, he told us, there's a lot of you're infamous for your driving skills. Can you explain what he means by that?
Well, I drove probably, if I was still out on the road today, I'd most likely spend half my time in jail.
A different era at the time. Now,
yes.
During those days, if you would have been, if a cop did pull you over, would being the champion, being the NWA champion, would that have gotten you any leeway with them?
It's got me out of more tickets than I care to even try to think of.
Exactly. John?
Yeah, Easy E from the message board. He has a question. He'd like to know, have you ever thought about doing the Legends House that's on WWE Network?
Being in the Legends House?
Yeah.
If they would do another season of it.
I think I am, ain't I?
Oh, you are?
Well, no, it's a new television show where they take like 8 legends and they put them in a house, and it's kind of like a reality show where they film them, interacting over a certain period of time.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. You might not be familiar with the program.
Well, and I most likely would not want to be involved in that program because I don't know of any one of the guys that I would want to spend 8 to 10 days stuck with.
It's a nightmare. They got Tony Atlas and he's making chitlins. And they're all talking about how terrible it smells in the house.
Well, that would probably be true.
Do you have any favorite, a lot of people have different promos of yours that they remember. Of course, you're saying, on God's Green Earth. And I know I've seen the Take That Damn Money promo a bunch of times, shared on YouTube. Do you have a particular promo that or an angle that you're the most proud of?
what I tried to do during that year with myself was keep myself as close to being the same type of person in the ring and out of the ring as I possibly could.
Mm-hmm. This something I always bring up when we talk to certain people. I always thought Terry Funk, Ted DiBiase, and yourself throw a great-looking punch. And I've always thought if you can have guys that do a lot of cool moves, but if their punch looks very bad, it really takes you out of the match. Do you consider that true? That something you'd like to you teach your guys to throw? It's a very basic thing, but if you throw a good-looking punch, it really adds realism to the match.
Yes, if you don't throw 100 of them during one match.
That's true as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I brought up Terry Funk's punch looking very good to several people, and they've always told me that's because he actually would hit you with it. And being in the ring with Terry, would you say that was true?
Well, 90% of the time.
10% of the time you got it right.
Of course, Dory was not too far behind in that.
But his would be more of the uppercut.
Yeah.
What's the differences between the two brothers, Dory and Terry?
Terry was more of a happy, go-lucky type of guy. He enjoyed what the world of wrestling did for him. It gave him an opportunity to go everywhere in the free world. Dory was more of a business-type person that if it didn't pay as much as what he thought it should to go to this place or that place, it was kind of difficult to get him back to those places. Just everyone's got a different philosophy, and they live and go by it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are there any current wrestlers that you see, around lately that really impress you, or you think, well, if I was in my prime, I'd really have a good match with one of these guys? In my opinion, whenever I see Cesaro, I always think you guys would work really well together.
Well, there was a lot of guys during my year that were capable of having very good matches with just about anybody. Mm-hmm. And there's still quite a few of those guys left, and the ones that are left are the guys that are on top, and whether it's with Vince or Japan or wherever, you'll always see those type of people in the top part of the ring seats.
Yeah. We got a question from American Splendor on the message board. He wants to know, what was your favorite town or building you like to work in the most?
The place that I enjoyed working in the most,
mm-hmm.
I had two of them that were a tie. And both of them are right here in the state of Missouri, Kansas City and St. Louis.
What about those particular buildings or areas made them special?
It wasn't the buildings that made it special. It was the people that came to the buildings. If you were giving them your all, they pretty much knew it, and they reacted in a way that showed you that they were.
Mm-hmm. Now, you invented a lot of suplexes, and a lot of them, we see today is, a lot of people are using. Do you have a favorite suplex?
Well, the one that stands out the most is, and even today, is the one where you were around the head and arm over the back of yours, and you got him standing straight up in the air right over the top of it.
Yeah, the vertical suplex, as they call it now. Have you ever seen any suplexes that came along, afterwards? You thought, that's pretty cool. I kind of wish I would have come up with that one.
No, everyone that was possible to do, I did at some point in time. Mm-hmm. And I think I had a pretty good run on being able to do those for the amount of time that I come up with them and start doing them.
Yeah. Is there a particular one that's actually the hardest to pull off?
The stand-up vertical, it has to happen just right now, and then you're on through it. Because you got somebody standing straight up in the air, 6 foot above the place that he's going to land, and if you try to hold him there for any length of time, he damn sure ain't going to come down flat and level like he should.
Mm-hmm. Well, everybody know, this Saturday, Warwick, Rhode Island, the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame and Fan Fest. During the day, it's a fan fest, it's a meet and greet. People can come out and meet Harley Race, and there's a ton of people there, and it's very cool because it's a nice, it's guys from all different eras, so there's going to be people there from all different generations of wrestling fans, and you can get all your information at newenglandfanfest.com, and it'll be an honor to meet you there.
Oh, it'd be my pleasure, my friend. Getting out and still being able to
we really appreciate you coming on here and talking to us tonight.
It's not only it's my pleasure too.
Now, if someone would like to train with Harley Race, how would they go about doing that?
Well, the internet has all the information that it takes to get a hold of me here and get involved in world wrestling here. It's HarleyRace.com gets to me directly, and World League Wrestling is the name of the company. So mm-hmm. We just finished with a round of training out here just a couple of minutes ago before I came in and answered the phone.
Oh, very cool. So yeah, you got that. I mean, and who better to? Because there's lots of wrestling schools out there now. It's a lot different than I'm sure when you're trying to get into wrestling. But who you got to think of who you're being trained by, and who better than the 8-time World Heavyweight Champion Harley Race?
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome. And thanks again for coming on, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Well, same here. And anytime you want to chat, you got the numbers.
All right, sounds good. Now we're just going to call you every week.
All right. Anyhow, guys, it's been a pleasure, and hopefully it will get across to the people.
Definitely did. Thank you.
This is Bob Caudle, and you're listening to In Your Head.